Indeed, indeed. I was just going to take over, but you know, like when you have stars of stage and screen, who's the Dark Persuader? So I'm just going to humbly bow and say goodbye, and I'll let you take
I've got
over.
a great intro for this next guest of mine. I've got a great intro for him, so I hope I do this right, and I hope I do it correctly. So, bye, Sir Anthony.
Bye.
Next up on Lifestyle, he's played a policeman in the Smash TV series The Bill, a doctor in the comedy series Good Night, Sweetheart, a corrupt mayor in the long-running detective drama Death in Paradise, more recently a barrister in Marjorie Blackman's Noughts and Crosses for the BBC, and now, courtesy of the National Theatre, we're able to watch and have been watching his acting skills, remotely mind, as he plays Barber Emmanuel, or to some of them, Uncle Emmanuel, in the Smash stage production of The Barbershop Chronicles. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Cyril Nri.
Hello.
Hello.
How you doing? How you doing?
I hope I did a great intro.
Well, I'm in the sunshine. I'm on my roof terrace, and the wind is blowing, so my umbrella keeps moving about. I have to keep grabbing it, but I'm here.
You are here. Thank you. Hey, Cyril, it's been how many years now? We last spoke in the confines, that's when it was normal, of the Cotton.
Yeah.
The Cotton's restaurant in Islington.
Yeah.
These are very
Was that during Julius Caesar or just after?
It was after, because we spoke about this, didn't we?
Okay, yeah. So it was 2013 then.
You've really got it good going on there. That's excellent. That's from 2013. I mean, I do have the dates and everything here, by the way. I could say it. But let's just talk about, for now, let's talk about what's happening now. Obviously, this crisis has affected everyone in every field, no matter who you are, or what you are. Yeah. So how has it impacted on you? I explained to the viewers that we could see you remotely playing Uncle Emmanuel or Emmanuel.
Yeah.
At the barbershop.
Well, sadly for me, we don't get paid for that particular performance. No, because and I think it's a subject I should come on to, but because that particular performance was recorded as an archive recording, and it was never really meant for public showing. And what happened was that the National got so many requests for that particular show to be shown that they decided they would do it as a charitable fundraiser, because it wasn't necessarily of broadcast quality. Now, my question would be, as you have NT lives, and they are done on a major scale, and all the sound is perfect, and you rehearse and whatever, and for different cameras and stuff, why one of the most popular shows that happened to be an all-black show it's not recorded as an NT live? And if it had been recorded as an NT live, obviously we would all have been paid, but that's so. Whilst I was very, very glad that they showed it, and it did have a quality to it, and we had just under 500,000, just under 500,000 views of the show, which is fantastic, particularly for the smallest theatre at the National, the Dorfman Theatre, which is where it was performed. I think that's fantastic. I would like to see, more of the next productions being given the same treatment that they gave Frankenstein or Twelfth Night or any of those other productions, and not just recording it for archive. But that's a beast beyond a beast. So yeah, so I'm not going to go there. So yeah, it was playing that role was fantastic. It was one of those things. I think for anybody who saw Barbershop, especially live, it hit so many wonderful points in a black man's life, and it unveiled a world that a lot of people don't get to see, because the barber is really someone who who is a therapist, who is the person who makes you look smart, so you're right there. And I know that over this COVID period, people have been missing their barbers. I've been in contact with mine, remotely, obviously, and I can't wait till I can go again and get a proper cut.
I wonder what that was about, Cyril. I really wonder what that was all about. Well, I don't want to say
I now do it every sort of 3 days.
Yeah.
Because nobody's going to see. Up here on my roof, it's a private world where nobody's going to see, and nobody cares. And I use my vile shapes, but I just set it, and then it's not a very skilled job. There's no doing the end. And the back, I don't know what the back is like. I haven't seen it, but I presume it's the same length as the front.
You're trying, at least. You're trying.
Yeah, so, I tried.
What has been happening? We've seen remotely, of course, actors getting together, little TV snippets of drama, of being locked down, series of those things. Yeah. Have you been getting involved in any things like that?
I have been. I belong to a group of Black creatives who are the umbrella keeps doing the shade and then, but I belong to a group of male black creatives called For the Man Dem. And it's a WhatsApp group. There are 256 of us in the group, which I think is the maximum that WhatsApp allow. And on there's a lovely young actor, producer, writer, Elliot Barnes-Worrell, who is Trix Worrell's son. And Trix wrote Desmond's and various other things. And Elliot started this thing. He did a little short film about his quarantine lockdown, which was called Justin. Look it up online. And at Elliot B. Words on YouTube. He then started this thing of doing quarantine Shakespeare. And it was one of those wonderful things where he assigned to various friends Shakespeare speeches and asked us to film them. And he asked me to do a piece from Henry IV about insomnia, and he asked various others. And he put together this wonderful series of quarantine Shakespeares. And do go and look it up online on YouTube or on Instagram or whatever social media you have. I think he's put it out on most of them. And that was really wonderful. It was just a lovely thing to do. Other than that, I've been writing. I'm writing a script at the moment, which is keeping me busy. I'm doing a lot of reading, which is fantastic. I'm trying not to get angry about the situation of the world, which everybody knows about. The joy of writing is that I can use the particular tools that I have to express my feelings about what's going on and this hopefully turning point in the world's history where somebody the various things that have happened, the woman in Central Park, the shooting of Ahmed Arbery, the the tasering of Ziggy Mombayara, the execution of George Floyd. These things will hopefully be a turning point. We won't be just doing a Rodney King and back, and no matter what the powers that be try to do, rushing out the same old tropes, blaming looters and whatever. As Trevor Noah has said, they've ripped up the contract, and people are no longer interested in hearing that we've got to keep our side of the contract. If they keep ripping it up, so what I can do is I can write and I can express that stuff, and not only can I write directly to those subjects and put those things in the places. Whoops, there's my umbrella. Yeah, where they count, and write to those people who have influence, who are probably going to ignore most of it, but also to put out in other places where it will be heard, and to express those things within the format that I generally work in, which is acting and writing and performance, and to bolster that, because just like Barbershop, it covered a lot of the lives of black men.
Yeah, but what was so interesting about Barbershop? It covered how many cities, how many towns?
It went to six locations around the world.
Yeah.
And it involved 33 black men of all shapes and sizes. The characters, there were 33 characters there, of all shapes and sizes, of all political beliefs, of all, you couldn't say, this is all of us. This is just a representation of the various manifestations of, of the beauty of black life, and so that was fantastic. And I think the more that we get to express those things, and to reflect on this situation, I think we will grow out of this. We will grow out. Yeah.
Well, I was talking to, I don't know whether you was in the green room there at that time. I was talking to a Californian. He was he's a New Yorker born, really, but right. He's in California, and he was just expressing the feelings. He's there. He feels things. He sees it going on.
Yeah.
We were saying that, and he's hoping, and so many of the blacks in America are hoping that out of this will come something positive, new legislation, perhaps new laws. And governing that with the police officers and their conduct, and in the way that they apprehend a suspected a villain, if you will.
I think that will happen. I really do think those things will happen. I think the laws will change. I'm not sure we've got to the end of this process yet. I'm not sure that we won't get a situation which goes a lot further, and maybe there will be blood, but out of that will come something which is where we can't just turn back. There is no going back to what was, now there just isn't, and I feel really optimistic about that. Nowadays up until lockdown, I was spending half my time in New York, and I live there, half the year now, in various periods, for work, and I think I see what's going on. I see the danger of that. I see my sister get worried every time her husband or her daughter leaves the house. To live that way is a constant strain, and I think that time we've come to the end of that. We've come to the end of that because there's no going back now. There's no acceptance of this stuff, and I think what has been brilliant about COVID, if there is anything brilliant about COVID, is that it has exposed all that there could be, exposed, and there's no running away from that now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's shocking, it's shocking that woman in Central Park hasn't been charged with a hate crime. I don't understand that, because it was a hate crime. It was a crime that only 30 years back led to 5 young men being jailed for their lives. Up until that point, for a crime they hadn't committed. It was a crime that a few years earlier than that would have led to that black man hanging from a tree. So it was a hate crime. It was a vicious hate crime with violence in it. But I don't see why there isn't a charge. It's great to say, oh, she's lost her job. afraid that doesn't cut it. You know, doesn't
But
cut it.
was there a rumor that she had some mental issues as well?
Well, you know, I would love to go down that road, but I find that whenever these things are brought up, and it is and the color of the perpetrator is round a certain way, there are lots of excuses made for why and how individuals they were and whatever else, and the stuff is not afforded the other way. You know? So whilst I would love to hear all about her mental state, you know, she held down a perfectly legitimate job. You know, you know, as somebody pointed out, I'm really glad that everybody rushed to the protection of the dog. You know, if only they could afford it. You know, yeah, you know. So that's different. So I, you know, I'd love to, but I'm not going to make any excuses for her behaviour.
Yeah.
You know, even if you are not, you know, she was of sound mind enough to know that she could weaponize that call, and therefore, you know, I would say even if there is an inkling of something that says, you know, she is not responsible, she is still accountable. You know?
Yeah.
That's no excuse. So,
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
but other than that,
you know, what we're going to do, so we are going to round up. But what I need you to tell us is where can people get to know a bit more about the great Cyril Nri? Let's get some social contacts out there.
See, now this is the bit where I go, I don't frequent Twitter, I don't frequent Facebook, I don't frequent Instagram or TikTok or any of these things. I generally tend to let the work speak for itself. You know, if they wanted to know, you know, there's enough stuff out there. I mean, you know, I don't look at it, but you know, I know that people add to Wikipedia pages and take off the Wikipedia pages, and people put out stuff, and my kids send me stuff that you know, I've never seen, and you know, and they go, you know, this is out there, and I go, well, that's nice for them. You know, do I have to engage? You know, I don't generally tend to engage on that level. You can find out what I'm doing at any point by just you know, looking up the age.
Well, let's try and find out now. I mean, for 2021, I'm not going to say 2020. I don't know the back end of 2020. If anything's going to happen the back end of 2020. Let's talk about 2021. Any kind of plans? Any?
Yeah, hopefully the program that I was making when COVID started, which is a book called The Power, and Amazon are making a series called The Power, which is a book by Naomi Alderman, and it's a wonderful book, and it's been made into a series by Amazon, and I play a dad in that of a young man, and the book is basically about young women around the age of 15 suddenly coming into a world where they get the power to electrocute people through their bodies. They get the power of electricity through their bodies. And it causes a storm, and it's set in the States, in Africa, and in London. And so I play one of the dads in that, John Leguizamo and various others. Play other dads and stuff, and you know, of young women, and but I play the dad of a young blogger journalist, Nigeria, and hopefully I think we got to filming most of up to episode 2, and then everything went on hold, and I came back here, but they're keeping us on a sort of small retainer that hopefully we'll be able to get back to it without having to do too much refilming, because
Okay.
My thought is that, you know, these are young people, and if it takes a year, somebody who was 15, you know, when we were filming, a year later,
Might look
they
like
look
it's
very
20 years
different.
old.
They may look very different because, you know, I remember, you know, personally between 15 and 16,
Yeah.
the guy grew about 5 inches. So,
That's
yeah. They may be young men with moustaches and beards and whatever.
That's what I'm saying, 1 year.
So,
What a difference a year makes.
yeah. Hopefully we'll be back to it before long. Yeah.
Well, we'll watch out for that. So, Cyril, it was been lovely speaking to you. Hopefully, as we go towards the ending of the year, if we're still going to be doing remote as we are now, this is the new normal. We can have it again, and we can perhaps catch up on perhaps that series that you're in, and see what from there. Okay. Cyril Nri, thank you. Blessings.
Bye. Bye, everybody.